All right, so let's get into this. So the impact of mindfulness on mental health. I wish I could. She's already done everything that I'm supposed to do with um introducing myself. But all that I think sums up all that she said is that I'm a soul midwife. Simple, short, straight. I wrote Living Mindfully, a journey to being as a way to hold space for others on the same path to healing. Perhaps what is missing from that introduction is that, and to refer to what Chelsea said earlier, is a person who's lived it. I'm a person who lives with bipolar affective disorder, and I've come to see it as a gift, to be honest, uh, because I've always been this observant person. So moving from being an observant person to being a person that's present was not very was not a sharp transition. It was just a smooth transition for me. So today I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to invite you to pause, to breathe, and hopefully to come home to yourself. Now, before we get into what mindfulness is and all the lingual and things that surround what we call mental health today, let me tell you the story, or one of the stories, or the one that stands out the most for me when it comes to talking about mindfulness. And is a story I share, the first stories I share in my book, Living Mindfully. So this day, something had happened at home and I chose not to drive. I in Vex, I took a bus to work. At the time, I was still in radio. And for those of you who know Lagos a little bit, well, you know Coca-Cola. I was working with Equa FM, traffic radio, and all that. You know Coca-Cola. So I had dropped at Coca-Cola and I was going to the office. I saw two people. It was so I believe it's divine. It was so divine. I saw a man who was obviously without his normal senses, and he was near psychotic, pardon me. He had rough hair, his trouser was black, but it was jumping. His white shirt was brown, and he lugged some bag on his back, and then he hits the curb and he looks at the curb, he smiles and continues. Just beside him was another man who was incidentally wearing a black tie, white shirt, black shoes, and his office bag. And then his leg hits the curb. And he was so upset and he kept hitting on that curb, like, you, this ground, you want to wound me. And he was so angry at the ground. And I'm there walking to the office. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? This person who is seemingly unwell took that life challenge better than someone who was who was supposedly not in their right mind. And that took me to a very interesting place, how we have allowed our stories and what we are aware of, the things that we understand where they're coming from and where we think they would go, affect the way that we think, we act, and we relate with other people. That morning changed everything for me. It was not the first time I was being observant. I look at, like, for example, I say Mrs. Oil and Gas. That's MRS Oil and Gas. That's how interesting my brain is. Like, why is it MRS? You can just call it Mrs. So it was not the first time that I was noticing that something was or something things happening around me, but it was also incidentally around the time that I was diagnosed. So I began to check myself. Okay, when you were younger, you could handle this life's challenges what birthed that, and why you were in the middle of all of that, you could just go through that, but then you seemingly have a better life now and everything is coming up for you. Of course, there's a psychological reason for that, a scientific reason for that. But that day changed everything for me, and I began to take stock of why I felt the way I felt. I know we've all read I've not read it, but I know I have the book, but I've never read it. Why you act the way you act? But we live in, or we exist in a culture, a world where feelings and emotions are bastardized. If they're not bastardized, they're criminalized. If they're not criminalized, they're criticized as, oh, you're too emotional or you're too sensitive. And that makes us all bury our emotions or how we feel. And then that in turn affects the way that we navigate our mental health and well-being. So what exactly is mindfulness? As you can see on my screen, the simple definition to mindfulness is the practice of being present without judgment. Simple. You're present here and you're not judging why you're here. And now, judgment here does not, I know, while judgment can come off with some negative connotation, judgment here means that you are there and you're not saying, what are you doing here when you're not supposed to be here, but accepting that you're here and approaching that here with curiosity. What has here come to teach me? What lesson am I taking from this here? All right. And that leads us to the reflective definition, which says is learning to notice your thoughts without becoming your thoughts. And you'll be asking, or maybe you're not asking, but you'll be asking what it means not to become your thought. And I'll answer with a very simple analogy. You are hungry and you are angry that you are hungry. So is your anger because you can't find food to eat, or because you actually don't have food? When you answer either of this question, depending on the present that is right before you, so would you then sit down with yourself and ask yourself, why is this upsetting you so much? Because you know you can just walk up to your fridge or walk up down the street in the corner shop and buy something. What is causing that anger? Why is this hunger causing so much anger that it's going to change the way you relate with yourself and the people around you? It is sitting with your emotions without letting them drive you off the cliff. Like I said before, we live in a society where the emotions and feelings are criticized and called all the bad names. So when you sit with your emotions, you understand them. That's what being mindful is. You understand that, oh, I have this emotion now. Why do I have this emotion? And what am I going to do with it? What does it again come to teach me? It is learning to notice your thoughts again without becoming them, to sit your emotions without letting them drive you again off the cliff. The biggest question, what is mental health? That's the biggest question. And I had Dr. Abayomi, Emmanuel Abayomi, an amazing psychiatrist on the podcast. This was last year, October. And when I asked him to simply define what mental health is, notice I said mental health, not mental ill health. They're two different things. And his simple definition grounded me and gave me clarity. If you can see the screen, if you cannot, I'll read it out. It said, mental health simply defined is when the thoughts in your head the emotions that come up for you in your heart align with your behavioral patterns or the picture of you that you carry on the inside. Simple as that. Mental ill health is where we have the diagnosis, is where we have schizophrenia, mood disorders, personality disorders, and anxiety and depression, clinical depression, that is. And all those things that there are a lot. If you read through the psychiatric journals, you'll be shocked about the amount of ill health that is that is in the book. However, when we hear mental, I'm protecting my mental health these days, what I think people hear is, oh, I don't want to be mentally healed. I don't want to, so no, don't come near me. But what you're actually protecting is your response to what people do to you, or do for you, or you do to people, or you do for people. It is when you know that whatever event is upsetting you or is causing some discomfort in your head, in your heart, is not in alignment with your thoughts and your emotions. And because emotions get the bad rap all the time, we don't sit with the emotions. And then that messes with us. And then it begins to turn into we begin to turn that anger inward. That because they have said you're too sensitive, you're too. I'm not saying that you should let go of yourself, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. You're too sensitive, you're too emotional, and then what you're feeling, because you cannot identify and properly articulate and label what you're feeling, then the mental health is skewed. Your well-being then becomes skewed. That's when you begin to see all haters. You begin to see all the people that are for you, the people that are not for you, so the people that get you, the people that are in your tribe, the people that are not in your tribe, because you yourself have not been able to align your thoughts, your emotion to your behavioral patterns or your habit. Mental ill health, like I said, is so different. And I am not licensed to talk about mental ill health because it needs diagnosis, it needs evaluation, it needs all of that. But I must say, though, that things like anxiety, depression, fear, phobias are almost cut across everything that is human. If you're 100% all the time, there's something wrong. If you're low all of the time, there's something wrong. But as humans, we have to oscillate between both sides of existence, the polarity of existence. So protecting your mental health does not mean that bad will not come. It does not mean that evil will not come. I was saying to us before everybody joined, that we have been, what I'm looking for now, we have the tools to know how to be happy, to navigate the good, to navigate good news. We do not have, if it's different for you, I'm so happy for you, but I'm not sure that everybody on earth has the tool to navigate when something bad happens. We're never prepared for when things don't go the way we believe it should go. We're not prepared to handle when life does throw curveballs, because guess what? Life will throw curveballs. Whether you are a sojourner in another person's land or you are in your land, and life will throw curveballs. the picture that you have of yourself doing this, and then life comes in and you don't know how to handle that life when it comes. That is where mindfulness comes in. When you're mindful of, when you understand the events that are happening as they are happening, you take note of the events and you're like, oh, okay, no, KG, you can do this. Life has come. What has life come to teach you, KG? And how are you going to respond to that? Do I have the agency to respond to that? Oh, I don't have the agency to respond to that. Okay, so where can I find the tools to build my agency to respond to that? So that's basically what being mindful is when an event happens, you do not judge yourself as in a negative tone to say, oh, you knew better. Ibi, you knew better. Beauty braids, you knew better. Why didn't you? But what if you had done everything right and life still happened? How do you navigate it then? What do you do to serve that moment? Sorry, what? Okay. Are we good? Okay. All right. So what do you do to navigate now that you know that you don't have the agency or the tools to manage this thing? What do you do? How do you breathe through it? What are the things that are inside of you that could help you? See, I'm not one of those coaches that will say, all is going over well. No, all is not going over well. All is not going over well if you don't do it, if you don't do the work, if you don't sit with the soot, if you don't sit with the dirt, because sometimes the answer is in that dirt that we are running from. That situation with the child, that situation with the partner, that situation at work, the answer is with you sitting down and then asking salient questions like, what did I do to contribute to this? What did I not do to contribute to this? What has this come to teach me? Am I willing to take this lesson to the next phase if it does not come out the way I want it to come out? The most healing question you could ever ask yourself is not why me, is what did I do? And while that comes off as negative judgment, I'll explain why it's not negative judgment. How many people here, if you're brave enough to share, or either by typing or raising your hands, how many people here have been in a situation where you felt that you were 100% hurt, that the other person was 100% at fault? Okay. Okay. I can see the hands up. I'm okay. Joan. Who else? Okay. All right. Can I bust your bubble for a moment? They were as much as at fault as you were at fault. And I'll explain. You can love people wrongly. And to be honest, most of us, 98% of humanity, love people the way we want to be loved. Can I be vulnerable for a moment? Permission? All right. Yeah. And when it's not reciprocated, it hurts. But did you communicate it? And how did you communicate it? So I had a friend for over 15 years, and I believed with everything inside of me that I did right by this person. And then right about the time I left mainstream media, the person and I used to work together, and this person started acting up. And then I would pick up after them. They would hurt people. I would pick up after them. People people would come and tell me so and so did this, and I'll pick up after them. Like, no, 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 it's that you people don't understand them. It's like yeah, thank you. You're right. They should take a cue from how we treat them to treat us that way. But you do know that that's not the way they want to be treated. That's not how they were designed to be loved. Anywho, going back to my story, and then this person calls me and goes like, I told you to help me do this. I'm like, and on that spot, I said, no, if you don't do this yourself this time, that's it. And while I was in everybody, in fact, everybody around me was saying, no, no, this guy shouldn't have done that to you with everything that you've done to him. But in the throes of my pain, I sat down and I did an autopsy. And I was wrong. Do you know how I was wrong? I fed his lazy, his inadequacies. Do you understand what I'm saying? His inadequacies, I became the stopgap for his inadequacies as against me helping him to see his inadequacies. So yes, I wronged him. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's the truth. And this happens in all of our relationships with our partners, our work, with our children who we think are not people yet. Mm-hmm. You know, you know, you know, you think that your children, if you have children, are not people yet, so they can't feel it. But let me ask you, the habits or the behavioral pattern that you have now, when did it start? I'm looking for a brave one. When did it start? When was the first time? Okay, I will do it. Don't worry. It's okay. When was the first time you responded to being hurt with silence? I'm stopping to share. Oh, yeah. Okay, I want to be like you. Like, see life. Yeah. It's been normal. Can I invite you while we're on this, Lara? Can I invite you to, while we're talking, to take stock the first time it happened? I can take a guess. Your mom did it, your dad did it, and you thought it was normal. It was a normal response. So why do you think your children are not people? Yeah. Why do you think your children are not people? When you, as a child, felt like you were being dismissed, so why do you think your child will feel dismissed if you did the same thing? So let me tell you guys, I'm into parenting coaching, teenage coaching, and basically just helping people to rewrite their story. Permit me. And when mothers come or fathers come, I do it, and then like he does not listen to me. And you know what we do? After all of that, and the child is just there. So I asked the parent, when you were 14 and your child is 14 now, and your parent responded to you the way you're responding to your child now, how did you feel? No, that's what, no, let's get back to it. How did you feel? They said, how would you have preferred your parent responded to you? And 99.9% of the time, there's a light bulb. And that's where mindfulness comes in. The parent that came to the table for coaching was mindful enough to know. Maybe they didn't know where it came from, but they knew that they needed help with the child. Now, so how do I finish that conversation? Respond to your child the way you wished your parents had responded to you. And that almost always turns the table. How many of us here were beaten for breaking a plate? Be sincere. And they use the plate to call a friend, be sincere, to make mark in your, but you know. But how many of you had done it to your children? Why didn't you do it to your children? Joan, yeah? Why didn't you do it to your children? Why? Because you were mindful enough that that experience, and yes, it's a trauma. Trauma is not the big T's. Trauma is not you were raped, they beat you, and brother came to the house, mommy saying, I'm coming, and she's never coming back. Or we're going out together. Or the one that we all know, since it looks like all of us here are Nigerians, the visitor gives you money and you give it to mommy, and mommy never returns it. If you are doing that, I beseech thee, with the mercy of God, let it end today. The money is totally gone. So I didn't like it when it happened because as a child I didn't really like it. So when I started having children, it doesn't get to you. Okay, when I started having children and then um people will give them things, I'll call them, especially if they didn't give it to me. I'll say, oh, so and so person gave you this. Do you want me to send it to your account? Or do you want to put it um in your piggy bank? And they will tell me. Fast forward, I'm telling this story for a reason. That's how mindfulness could help your relationships. Fast forward to the beginning of this year, we had a little bit of financial constraints in the house. And then somebody came to visit the family from the abroad and gave the children $100, $50 each. And so and my daughter needed to make her hair. My son also was going back to school and all of that. And I was like, oh, if we your sisters at the time, I think a dollar was about 877 8,700 thereabout. So we did the math. So I was like, okay, so this is the money. I'm going to change it. Do all of us want to go and change this money? How much do we put in your account? I have some money I'll add to your hair. I have some money I'll add to your provisions. And I did not know the effect of what had been doing until that moment. And I cried. And my children said, oh, no, 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 don't add any money. Don't put it anywhere. Oh, no, 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 let's just use this money now. I'll use my money to do hair, and you can use Jola's money to buy his provisions. So it's like, you don't want to save it. I said, oh, no, that should be you save the other ones now. Let's use this one. Do you see how, if you're mindful of the big T's and the small T's, how it can reflect on your relationships, it can reflect on how you relate with yourself, and it can reflect on how you relate to your children and people around you. I did cry because for me, it was huge. It was huge. Like, okay, I have done something. I was not just talking the talk, I was living it. It was quite liberating for me. I'm not saying, there are sometimes that they will bring money, oh, yeah. But I'll tell them, see, this money, they gave it to me, but I need this permission to spend. So when my children are with people and they say, my mother, my mother, they will say it, my parents would never spend our money. They'll ask us first. Because you and I know that we joke about it. We all know that we joke about it, but we know that it was painful when our parents did it. But like Lara said, it had become normal. So we respond that way. So our responses don't shock us anymore. But what happens when you shock yourself back and reset your story of origin? What do you think is going to happen? So before we go on to the next slide, so far so good. What have we heard? Hello. Hi. I know it's not time for selfies, but or Zoom feed, but could we speak for a moment? Elfrida? Okay, to now repeat the circle. Thank you. Joan, I now understand the difference between mental health and mental illness. Thank you very much. Um, you're right. Who else? Are you saying we can continue? Zoom Toms. Okay, so I've already said this, but it goes without saying again, yeah? Please hold on here. Why mindfulness matters in mental health? Response. It helps you respond, not react to emotional stress. First off, you cannot escape emotional stress, no matter how evolved you are, no matter how educated, how evolution has favored you. You know why? It looks like everybody here is Yoruba, so can I speak Yoruba for a moment? Tibi tire ladaye. That's what makes existence interesting. You cannot know what is good if you have not experienced the bad. And you cannot experience the bad without the good eventually coming at a turn. It's not possible. It's not possible. So, moving to anxiety management, what mindfulness does with anxiety management, and trust me, as a person living bipolar, Anxiety, especially around people, is my number one trigger. Is my number one trigger. So when I get to, or when I'm in a place, even whether I've known these people all my life, in my head, I'm always anxious that the time that this person was not near me, was not around me, what have they gone to carry from the world that they're coming to come and give me? Trust me, for a long time, I lived in that bubble. But being like, I know it's very ironic, but being like that guy that was psychotic in the story I told earlier, and carrying that anxiety and saying, it is in your head, Tunmise. And whatever this person is carrying anyway, that wherever they have gone and come back, how is it your business? Being mindful enough to say to myself that whatever this person is doing is not because of me, it's not in spite of me, it's because they have a character question, saved my life. I do not deny the fact that they make me feel uncomfortable. But I ask myself, why is somebody else's headache making you uncomfortable? Do you understand? Yeah. Let's talk about resilience. In this world of protecting my mental health, it's not just good for my mental health. So how will you build resilience when there is no challenge? How? If you have the trick, please share with me right now. I'll take it. I need it. Because it's like my favorite. It was in the midst of all this that I came up with a mantra. If you're not comfortable with the word mantra, I apologize, but it just means a way, an affirmation to myself. I came up with a mantra: life is lived in the transitions. May I be brave enough to embrace the me that presents at each transition. May I be brave to see this as a transition and not as a bus stop. Life is lived in the transition. Your supposedly worst mistakes or decisions at the time, if you knew better, would you do better? But what was available to you, what agency, what part of you was available to you at the time of making that decision? Does that make it wrong? I doubt so. Because when you have left that phase and you look back, because you are taking the lesson from that phase, you look back, oh, yeah, maybe I should not have done that, but I didn't know. Now I know. If that happens again, I know what to do. The problem is, if that phase comes back, because it will come back, that's how life works. It will come back. Because God, universe, however way you want to ascribe to higher power, I use God. Some other people use universe. He will bring it back until you learn it will continue to come back. And that's when the why me begins. Hence, what? So that the resilience can be built for the next phase. There are hills, there are valleys, even in nature. So why do we think that as humans, there won't be hills and there won't be valleys? And the ironic thing is when you are in the valley, to get to the hill, you have to what? Exert some energy. You have to climb. So the earth, the heaven shows itself. So why do we as humans not show forth the work? Because we want to be mentally well. Ironic here, but your strength comes from being mindful of the bad and the good. And the most important, of course, is fosters self-awareness. Um, hmm, the best way to capture self-awareness. Can everybody see this? How do you heal what you don't know? How do you heal what you don't notice? That's all self-awareness is. If you are aware, just like I said about, the broken plate issue, how many mothers are here? Show of hands. How many fathers indeed? Show of hands. I can see all the people that their children are disturbing them. So don't like mothers, fathers. Yeah. Let's stop for a moment. Let's stop for a moment. How do you know that you're a better parent than your parent? If you don't want to talk, you can type.
I missed the question. I didn't get that.
How do you know that you're a better parent than your parent? Why did you say ah? Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, is it because I said you're enjoying life that you went off camera? Please enjoy life. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. I love when I see men just relax. Yeah, people who know me know I have a bias for men. I have a bias for men because I believe that when the society understands that if the man is whole, the what do you mean by that, Mr. Ayani? They are better than are your parents than are better parents than you? Is that what you meant? I believe that if we understand that the man, when a whole man, when we have a whole and healed man, the woman won't have to fight too much, or won't the children also will be healed. And science and studies have backed this that children who grow up to be well balanced and well rounded in the society are children who saw their fathers love their mother right or treat their mother right. So why are we not focusing on making sure the man is well taken care of? Okay, so if you let me go there, I'm going to change. So let's just Sayani, what do you mean by discipline? If you could, I really want to explore that. Oh, they were better than you. What do you mean by discipline? What be my discipline? Do you know why I want to explore this? Because we think that I don't want to assume what kind of discipline did you get that you think you're not giving your children? What kind of discipline do you think that if you don't want to talk, it's fine. You can type it. I would appreciate.
Good afternoon. Sorry, let me talk a bit.
Okay.
I think raising kids now, in retrospect, I think I tend to appreciate my parents more,
Mm,
especially with the sacrifice, with things that they do without even saying.
mm-hmm.
And then also looking at my kids now and then comparing to when I was growing up, I felt there are things that they could have carried us along, at least to make us be aware of. Maybe we will have behaved better. Now, those little changes I'm trying to correct. I don't want that to repeat itself.
So
So,
when you say you're trying to correct, you're trying to carry your children along?
yes,
Okay, okay,
they,
okay.
they need to know what's going on in the family. when we have and when we don't have.
Mm.
They should also be part of the decision making because I'm just a caretaker. And I realize that I'm a caretaker. I'm not going to be always be there.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to be able to make decision on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And the earlier I allow them to be free enough in my presence and then be able to express themselves so that I can see those traces and correct them on time, the good for us, for everybody. So I noticed that there are moments where while growing up, my parents will allow us to play in their presence, especially my dad, but not all the time. They always want us indoor, indoor, indoor all the time, which is not a bad thing.
I want to get inside. We know ourselves. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
It wasn't a bad thing because it came from, and that was why I said sometimes a bit of communication could have straightened up this thing. There are moments I get beaten for going out to play ball. And I'm wondering, what did I do wrong? I just want to play. Now I see my son doing the same now. He wants to kick every item in the house to play ball.
Mm.
So while I'm talking to him, I'm being conscious of the fact that, son, I'm not against you playing football. Because if my parent had allowed one of my brother to play football when he was really, really interested, he would have made it as a big star. But they discouraged him. And I don't want to repeat that mistake. And that could have changed the fortune of the entire family if he was encouraged. So I'm being mindful of how I was raised. And I do not, because I know for a fact that things we condemn in our parents, there are tendencies we will repeat them if we are not conscious of it. So I'm being careful I don't repeat my parents' mistakes. And I'm also being conscious to appreciate the effort and the fact that they did to their best of their knowledge. I'm not bitter. It's not something I'm doing out of a place of spite or out of place of unforgiveness. I knew they did the best they could out of the available
knowledge that they had. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you very much. All right. Before I come to Toyosi and Lara, okay, so if permit me if I'm correct, Stayeni, when you say discipline, are we talking about children talking back or children having just like Mr. Shea has spoken now, children having a mind of their own, or you think that you should cane them or beat them, spread the rod? I know, and I'm going to get that in a moment. If you understand how shepherds actually work with the rod, they never hit the sheep with the rod. Never. What they do is guide the sheep with the rod. Train a child the way he will go, not the way I think my child should go. The way it should go. And that is very important. I'm pointing at that because I'm a linguist, so I'll point out how that is different. What happens to us as parents is we want to paternalize. This is the pattern that we met. Forgetting that each generation has a new pattern, and your children are you're an upgrade of your ancestors. Your children definitely an upgrade of you. Do we ever stop to notice or to wonder why grandparents are more subtle with their grandchildren? Because they came to the place of understanding that a child should be trained how he should go, not how I think, oh, my child should be a doctor because doctors make it. Oh, my child should be a lawyer because we're all lawyers in our house. Yeah. Joseph, but pardon me if you're not a Christian here, that's my frame of reference. Joseph, though was exposed to field work, but he was never a field person, never. He was extremely cerebral. Why? Because he was raised in the way that he should go. His siblings were raised in the way Jacob went. I hope I'm saying something. He was raised the way he should go. His father allowed him to blossom. His father, he was raised, his brothers were reared. My mother, who was the most, and hence the new book coming, my relationship with my mother was the most turbulent and the most healing. When I was younger, I used to tell my parents, I will not marry, but I will give birth to children just to show you people how to raise children. We can't even, if we get into that story now, we'll finish this webinar. So fast forward to when my daughter was 6. She's coming from school and she's coming, I go to pick her in school and she comes with this ruffle. Oh, mommy, see what I picked. And I'm like, and you didn't take it to school? And I started calling this girl, ole, bole, shame there, and yeah, that. For a 30 minutes drive straight. I called my brothers and I was saying to my brothers, your niece, Otin Jali. And the girl was just at the back wondering. But that was a turning point in my parental journey. I got to my mom. So I was going to her and I was like, hey, see what your grandmother did. And then my mother was like, hey, give me a cookie. I said, no, please. Don't even go there because it's your grandchild now. You want to, because, and then she just smiles and says to my daughter to take my son in. And then she looks me dead in the eye and said, I'm so, I turned you, I can't speak you guys. I can see that there's someone here who doesn't understand Yoruba. I turned you to be this kind of person because I would have done exactly what you're doing now. And then I was saying in Yoruba, and then she said the most poignant thing ever. Oluwatumise ole tomo mushi toy. And I hope to God, and probably that's also when my mindfulness journey started, because I became conscious after that. And then she added to that, Oluwatumise, a child. She said this in Yoruba, in a dialect actually. So even if I wanted to say it to Yoruba, I would say it well. It was she's a Jebu, so she said it in Conky. It will sink in my head. A child comes from heaven with its own manual. Your job as a parent is to download that manual and help the child to read it. And that changed me from pattern parenting to child-led parenting. If we go into that, this will be a parenting seminar, and that's not what this is about. So I hope that helped, Mr. Ian. I hope that helped. Lara, please go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to quickly more like make a statement, or it could also be like a question. Well, how does one then balance things so that, especially when it comes to discipline, so that one is also not overcompensating for some of the assumed errors that you think your parents made? Because I also see cases where parents are now overstepping the line in the case of, yes, they're their person, definitely. They have their own identity and all of that, and then not necessarily being able to draw that line of proper correction. And because if I should also look back, our parents did what they could. They didn't do it all right. There were a lot of wrong things that they did. But I also remember when growing up, I could almost tell what my parents wanted me to do just by looking at them. For me, I think that's a very good thing, even though maybe the method they used in getting me there wasn't the best. But I think it's also some cue that I was able to tell. But a lot of times these days, it's like children are just free roaming spirits and they just do whatever they want. So having that balance, I don't know how then can one really get that balance without overcompensating.
Okay, so permit me to use myself again if you don't mind. I do the African mother eye. I do it. There's nothing wrong with it. But you explain to the child why. Yeah, just like Mr. Sheyi said, the question here is communication. The biggest question is if they explain to you why they were doing it, you get. See, my mother-in-law was here in April, my house here in April, and then I have an almost 18-year-old and a 14-year-old. They are teenagers are supposed to be unruly, they're supposed to talk back. I mean, that's what society tells us. My mother-in-law was here and she was like, how don't you shout? I was like, I don't understand. Why should I shout? It's like, your son will just wake up, go and do his chores and go back to the room. Your daughter will wake up. I said, there's no problem. The first day they did it, they knew it was the last day. I didn't beat them. Well, like, but what happened? There was plates from the night before, and you didn't wash plates. But problemo. I cooked for me and my husband. I removed the plates that me and my husband are supposed to use to eat, and I locked the kitchen. If you want to eat, you will clean my kitchen, cook your food, and eat. And at that point you hear my children, she's being a mother now. I say, yes, I'm being a mother. I'll come back when you're my friend. It's okay. I'll go and clean my kitchen. As the communication pass, it has passed. So, in fact, the one of the most hilarious things happened last year. We woke up one morning and then I was going to wake him up around 7. But I got to the kitchen. My kitchen was not just clean. It was mopped. It was scrubbed. My gas cooker was it's like, okay, this boy has done something. And on his door, he wrote on a paper, before you wake me up, I have cleaned the kitchen. I have made breakfast. In fact, he actually even had put coffee in the percolator. So we just needed and water. All I ask is for you to leave me till 9 a.m. And I left him till 9 a.m. When he woke up, thank you for cleaning my kitchen. Do you understand? Our children, I don't wash now. I hate washing now because why? As a teenager, I'll wake up 4 a.m. I'll clean a 5-bedroom apartment, wash clothes, make food and all that. Hell no, I can't get married and be doing that now. I don't wash. That was huge trauma for me. I would have thought, like, I don't even bother my children to wash. If you like, wash your clothes. If you like, don't wash your clothes. That's your business. But by themselves, they will load the washing machine. Do you understand? It's how we teach them. What is the method? I repeat, the litmus test is if you did not like it the way it was done to you, respond with how you wished. Just like Mr. Sheyi said now, don't beat me because I just went to play ball. Why are you beating me? Okay, because I told you couldn't go to play ball after 7 and you have come back after 7 or you went out at 7. And most of this overcompensation thing that you're talking about is because most of us parents don't follow through with our threats. We don't. We tell them, if you do this, you will not get this. Make sure they don't get it. You're still the parent. You're still the parent. My son is in boarding school. His sister went first. The sister has graduated now. He's there alone now, and he's been, hey, if there is no negotiation he has not done. Don't worry, if I come and do day students, I will wash plate every day. Mommy, don't worry. I know your school runs. You will not do school runs again. I will walk to school. Just bring me back home. And I kept saying no. But the day he was going, I said to him, I hear you. I'm not a wicked mother. I hear you. And I know that there are people, teachers who don't like your guts in your school. And I know that there are students who don't like your guts in your school, but that is life. The four of us understand you. The whole world will not understand you. And you need to begin to learn that the world is outside. There's a world outside the four of us. Sorry, baby, but you have to go. And I took it a step further. If I died, I want to be able to look back from heaven and say, I gave you good tools to live. Not that I will die. And you will say, my mother did not teach me this. Did not tell me that people used to be wicked. Did not even. And then, okay, mommy. I love you, baby. I'm a son. With things they don't understand, they do. When children come to ask you questions, I tell you for free, they already have answers. What they're coming to meet you for is to see whether your answers align with theirs. And if they don't align, they are hoping to God that you're going to give them a good reason to change their own answer. And that's when you're a parent. Did I help? Lara, did I help?
Lara? Sorry, yes, it did. I was looking for a mute mic. Have you a mute button? Yes, it did. Yes, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Ayeni, because they didn't grow up in a silent generation. If we want to raise them as silent as we were raised, they will rebel and we would have failed. I pray a prayer all the time. Father,
yeah, correct.
I pray a prayer all the time. Give me the language of the time to raise my children. My son has called me Gen Z mom before. He will be fine. But I would rather be a Gen Z mom than raise a child that will not be accessible to the world, or the world will not be accessible to. And if we're all Christians here, that's great. If we're not all, again, this is my frame of reference. When we read that scripture, Ephesians 6, that says, honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise. I'm sure they told us that your father said, honor your father and mother. I mean, they used to hear it. But they don't tell us about verse 4. Verse 4 says, and I quote, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and the instruction of the Lord. Let me look, that's the ESV. Let me look for the TPT. TPT says, fathers, do not exasperate your children, but raise them up with loving discipline and counsel that brings the revelation of our Lord. Did he tell you that you are the one that will bring the revelation? No. The easy version says, fathers, do not do things that make your children angry. Instead, teach them carefully as they grow up. Help them to understand the message of the Lord and help them to obey it. Where are you in that equation? Nowhere. The only instruction you have there is don't annoy your children, because God sees them as people too. All right. Okay, we're getting into a parenting seminar. Hey, can we move on? Is it okay? Is it okay? Thumbs up. Is it okay for us to move on? Yeah? All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating. Appreciate it. Okay, so this question is, like I said, and I hope, please take this question and use it in every area of your life. If something happens at work, what has it come to teach me? Because if you don't know why it is triggering you, how do you heal it? If you're not aware of what brought up the trigger, how do you heal it? That's what mindfulness can do. So let's talk about the myths and truths about mindfulness. And this is the one I hear a lot, especially because I'm a Christian. And I don't know why people think that Christians can't be mindful. It's very amazing because the Bible tells us to meditate, innit? And and I'm wondering why mindfulness and meditation ticks off Christians. That is only for Eastern religion, is only for Indians who I hope with this little point of mine, I'm able to convince you and not convince you that being mindful is for everyone. Even the Bible says God is what? Mindful of me. Yeah? The people that say it means emptying your mind, heavens no, it does not. It only means being aware of what is in your mind and guiding that thought. Even when you sit in silence, for example, do you know that sometimes, I don't know about you, but that sometimes you want to pray and nothing comes up. Nothing. There's too many things going on in your head, but nothing is coming up. And then you just sit down, you're quiet, and the thoughts begin to arrange themselves in your head, just by themselves. And then you begin to do some economic opportunity cost. Oh, this thought is important. Okay, no, this was not if I go out. No, I'm good. That's mindfulness. And that will help you regulate your stress because you learn like, okay, the head is, I'm having overwhelming thoughts. Where should I go with this? My go-to is to write, or I play some instrumentals, and then I just allow the thoughts to flow because they're crowding because they're looking for expression. The thoughts are crowded because they're looking for expression because you are neglecting them. So they will crowd on so that you can give one. And if you don't give attention to one, it literally will drive you into depression. You know why? You begin to question yourself, why am I not able to answer this particular question? I don't have time for mindfulness. I don't have time to journal. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to go for a walk. If your mental health matters to you, if the thoughts in your head, the emotions that come up for you in your heart, and your behavioral pattern, if they matter to you, you will make time for yourself. As a matter of fact, let's do an exercise now. I would appreciate if everyone can come on camera just for a moment. Just for a moment. You can go off camera and after we finish this exercise, just for a moment, please. If you're close to your camera or where you can turn on your camera, I would appreciate it. Oh, yeah, Adi. Like, move for you, Mr. Shea. Go, like, seriously. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you feel safe, Please close your eyes. If you feel safe, close your eyes. Breathing through your nose at my count. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Let it out. Just let it out. While your eyes are closed. Again, I apologize if you're not Christian. Like, in the silence, with your eyes closed, if you feel safe, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Breathing with your nose. The Lord is my shepherd. Breathe out. I shall not want. One more time. In with the Lord is my shepherd. And out with I shall not want. One more time. In. I shall not want. When you feel comfortable, you can open your eyes. How did you hear the 23rd Psalm now? Did you hear it or did you feel it? Thank you. Hello. Thank you, John, for sharing. That's all mindfulness is. You've heard the 23rd Psalm all your life. But then you decide to take out the curbs and just, without the noise of how your parents taught you, how you prayed in church, how, do you understand? Or even the songs that surround it. Every time I read the 23rd Psalm, even Our Father, who are in heaven, now that my father is no longer here, I literally say, Our fathers who are in heaven. And it just wraps, I just feel God wrap his hand around me. That's what mindfulness is. Okay. Now that we're out of the myths, let me share how I actually stay mindful. If you've not read the book, well, this is a crash course. Stop, breathe, notice, reflect, respond, resolve. SPNRRR is the framework I use, and it just means stopping for a moment, noticing why, or stopping for a moment. Okay, so you enter an event, a situation, and then for some reason you begin to feel palpitations, the hair is full, stop. Why? Then take a breath. Okay, take a step back. Take a step back. I'm like, okay, I'm out. Then notice what's going on. Observe your thoughts, observe your feelings, observe the energy. Yes, I know that energy sounds like an Eastern New Age term, but it is true. God Himself is an energy. Observe the energy that's going on around you, the sensations, and why this thing is upsetting you or making you feel good. So it's not only bad things that you use SBNR for, you use for good too. Why is this thing making, so you can know how to replicate it? Why is this thing making you feel bad? So you know how to navigate it, yeah? Reflect upon what comes up for you from the observation of your thoughts, your feelings, and the possibilities that are available. Respond to that in a very conscious manner. For me, I journal. For me, once my thoughts, I can put any thought I cannot put in word, then there's trouble. I call my psychiatrist immediately, okay, something's going on. And then the resolution from that response is what is going to take me forward. All right. So let me just say this, because, and that's just because of, I just want us to have how mindful practices could look like globally, especially for us people of faith, because I'm imagining a lot of people of faith are here. And when I say people of faith, I'm not just talking about Christianity, Islam, either way you connect with the higher power, because trust me, even psychiatry has begun to tell us people with mental health questions and mental ill health who have something to anchor their hope on, or someone bigger than them to anchor their hope on, faith, come out easier and faster. So while they don't want to accept that there is a God because of science, they also know that people will anchor their hope on something bigger than them, come out faster. So there's a lot of practices. I've shared mine with you, but there's the breathing one that I just shared with you. Now you can just breathe in, just take time when you feel like you're feeling choked and all that. Take a bathroom break. In the bathroom, sit down on the WC, your feet touching the ground, making sure your feet touch the ground, and just breathe in for the count of 4, hold it, breathe out for the count of 4, and just notice where you're feeling the sensation. When you're eating, I know you have heard it all the time, but we still do it. You're eating and you're playing on your phone, you're watching TV, you can't even taste. You don't know whether it's salty or not that and all that. So you people that are in the abroad, you can go for nature walks. In this Lagos, I don't know where I can find nature walks. So I've resorted to just taking walks and plugging my ears and just listening to music. And of course, I've talked about journaling. The journey to mindfulness is not glamorous. I know that people make it sound like it is easy, and even making it sound like it's easy for you to be mindful about things. It is not, but it is dirty, because you have to ask yourself honest question. You have to ask yourself the what questions, not the why me questions, is the what me questions. And remember that you are not chasing perfection. You can't be a perfect parent. You can't be a perfect boss. You can be a perfect employee. You can just simply be on the way to being. Thank you very much. My name is Oluwatomishi Oladapo. I'll take your questions now.
That's me clapping, and I'm sure everyone shares the same feeling with me. That's been intense. That's been unraveling. That's exciting. It's actually a good feeling for us to do the breathing exercise and taking a pause to think, to just breathe and just let it go. And I love the last phrase that you said. We are all on a journey to perfection, really. Thank you so much. That was really intense. And we sincerely do appreciate your vulnerability in a world where a lot of people are used to being judged. They would rather keep to themselves than being vulnerable. So, and we appreciate the gift. Thank you so much, TDK. From the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Thank you. You know, I love you already, so.
I know.
So we still have like about 10-15 minutes for
Yes.
Q&A. So I don't know if anyone has questions that they would like to still touch on. Though I've sent one or two to you. And yeah, and I have a few others that sent to me to my DM, so I could share. So if you could start with the ones that's been shared to you, or if there are any others, please let's still shoot in the chat box like we did earlier. So and yes,
Can I get a cup of water, please, while you're doing that?
Yes, yes. So I will go for the first question. And so just me trying to call up what I've sent to TDK earlier today. So. Okay, so the first two questions. What are the indicators showing mental health issues? And number two, what are the positive or negative impacts of mindfulness? And I think we've explored that already. Yes.
Yeah. But let me quickly answer and probably change a term. I run away from the 10 issues. When people say mental health issues, I run it because it has a negative connotation and that drives stigma. But I would rather we said mental health questions, because then that drives some curiosity and some openness. What are the questions you're trying to answer? And that's very easy. If you find yourself being short with people, you're before anybody comes to you, something, I don't know how, for those who leave to Lagos for a bit, a yellow bus driver cuts you off and you're, yeah, oh, yellow bus, you don't even know the yellow bus from anywhere. Then you know that you need to take a step back. Or somebody cuts you off in traffic and you find yourself shouting, your boss, you find yourself irritable, you find yourself, you're losing appetite, not because you're sick or you're eating too much, and you find yourself, you're in low moods, and it's going on for more than 3 days, more than 4 days. You find out that you are overly excited, and that is going overly excited. Joy is constant, all right? But then when it gets to the point where your joy has turned to reckless excitement, there are questions to be answered there. When you find yourself thinking heavily negative thoughts, because we all have questions, that's just, yeah, I'm sure all of us, oh, just take me now. This world is just, I'm just tiring, those fleeting moments will come. But when it's becoming too consistent or too persistent, there's a question to be answered there. When you're losing sleep, I know that there are people saying that 6 hours is too much, 8 hours is too much, and I agree, but let's say that the number of hours of sleep that you are optimum with is 4 hours, and then you're having 2 hours. That's out of the norm. Then there's a question to answer. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you sleep too much, there's a question. So when the emotions in your heart, the thoughts in your head, and your behavioral patterns are not aligning and they're out of the moderate, there's a question to answer. Positive and negative impact of mindfulness. To be honest, the negative impact is you could overthink because you are very aware of everything going on around you. Again, we are now out of the realm of moderacy. I personally used to be very self-deprecating. self-evaluation, self-deprecation. There are two. So now I'm comfortable in the place of self-evaluation. Like, okay, Tunmise, you should not have done that. So what next? Before, Tunmise, you should not have done that. What they're calling that out here, and you say all those negative things to yourself. So those are the negative parts of being, again, moderacy. The other thing is you can begin to see negatives in everything. Yeah, if you're not careful. And you could also become, your senses might then be dull to evil. There's evil in the world. Your senses become dull to evil. All right. What mindfulness does for you is you are aware, but you don't sit with.
Yeah.
All right. So if you don't manage that well, all right, and this is where, and I recommend the book for it to everyone. Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 Agreements. Please go and look for it. And the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your words. Do not take anything personally. Do not make assumptions. And the 4th, which I think is the most important, always do your best. The book is, it's an audio book, is less than 2 hours. It's about 100 or 400 pages. Don Miguel Ruiz, amazing book. And whenever I find myself being overly concerned about what somebody is doing or saying, I just tell myself, do not take anything personally. Nothing anybody does is because of you. And if you're honest, nothing that you do is because of other people. Yeah. What's the other question?
Okay, so the other one is workplace mental health. So how can managers, supervisors identify early signs of mental health needs? So trying to be careful with my lingua now.
Yeah.
Okay, without having to stigmatize the employee.
Depending on how the place works, if your colleague or your subordinate, your contemporary is doing something out of the norm, have a crucial conversation. If they're doing anything out of the norm, whether it's on the low mood or the high mood. But here's a word of caution. Pity and sympathy, especially with people who have ill health. Pity and sympathy, unfortunately, or ironically, shut us down. And usually is why people don't speak, because the body, people with mental ill health questions or who are already been diagnosed, for some reason, whether it is right or not, it's easy for them to see this body language that comes off as pity or sympathy. And the definition of empathy also is a little bit shaky here. I was telling Tracy my definition of empathy. I know that is feel other person's feeling. I mean, what they say, where empathy is being in another person's shoes. You cannot. It's not possible. You can't feel what the person is feeling. You can't feel what the person is feeling. So the way I have personally, the way I now see empathy is understanding or working to understand what this person is feeling, but wise enough to allow the person lead the way they want to be healed. Because most of the times when we say we are empathizing with people, we are quick to prefer solutions. And sometimes all people need is just for someone to listen. And listening is hard work. especially for managers where KPI is KPIing. Yeah. So yeah.
I think this is the last one because I haven't seen anyone in the chat box yet. But the other two that was saying to me, oh, okay, I think you've discussed around that. Okay, this is okay, one is about resources. So of course your book, Living Mindfully, that people can get. And so this one is about relationships. So I'm caught between a relationship that with my friends, and it's been a long time coming, where they tend to dismiss my feedback to how they treat me to me being emotional. They've not been supportive of me, but rather all they do is tag my reaction, or she put in a dash in front, my response, as me being emotional. I'm working on myself to be more resilient, but also I'm also trying to be mindful that keeping this relationship is not healthy for my mind.
If it's not healthy, if it's not, if you don't, yeah. If it's not healthy for you, then leave.
Okay.
Without beef, without, so
the person is on this call, so
yeah. So,
the person will get that.
Yeah. So interestingly, and this is why I tell people that there are no coincidences on earth. Interestingly, the next week's episode of my podcast is actually talked actually about relationships and how we tend to overestimate our worths in relationships. And I'll explain. We judge every relationship that we've been in, or we are in, or we are going to be in, on our perceived importance, sacrifice, investment in that relationship. Perceived. Why do I say perceived? You are the only one that knows what you are doing. So we judge. That's why we hear, I can't believe that person did that to me. Oh, hell, believe it. Because you are the only one that knows exactly what you are doing. No one knows the other person's intention. No one, except their God. You are the only one in the agency of your intention. What I would say is ask the what questions. What did I bring into the relationship? What is this relationship giving to me? What have I done right? What have I done wrong? If you're not a confrontational person as I am not a confrontational person. I'd rather just resolve and step back. But you will not know I've stepped back because I will still be very available, but not accessible. I will create my own boundaries and live by my own boundaries. Guess what? When you begin to live by your own boundaries, they will see it. They will see it. And then trust me, if they truly were being dismissive of you or they were taking your relationship for granted, they know that they have stepped. And it's either, see, their relationships, there are relationships that could have gone on for 25 years. And on the 25th year, you find out that you don't align. No beef, no bad blood, just evolution. There are relationships that start last year, last month, and are deeper than the relationship you've had for 25 years. If you push back because you think the one that has been with you for 25 years requires more loyalty than the person that has just come into your life, you will get burned. Mindfulness. You're being mindful of the people that come to your life per time. And there are some relationships that God has orchestrated as divine cameos. They will only come when needed, and you will only be in their lives when needed. No bad feeling, no that they hurt me, no that I hurt them. Embrace each of these people and accept their roles in your life. Back then, I used to believe in the concept of bestie, and it's not bad. Please, oh, I'm not saying you have bestie and you are on the same level. I really do have close friends. But I also know that not every close friend is supposed to be in every phase. So why not celebrate them for the phase that they have been in your life? I have a very, very wonderful friend. Not spoken to her in 3 years. Joe, not Singapore. In fact, the last call we had, she was the one who called. It was December of 2022. Yeah. And she's like, God, in fact, since you're such a good friend, God told me that I should not lose you and blah, 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 blah. But as that call was ending, I knew that was the end of our friendship. I knew that was the end of that level of closeness. Not because she said anything or not because she godified it or anything, but because prior to that last call, I would send a message every month, at least once every month, just to check it out, and there was no response. Deja. Okay? So it took me, and this was a person, when I started my ministry way back in 2008, this was the first person to give. This person would pray and fast over me speaking to my life. So what if at some point of that relationship, I had begun to substitute her for God? And God said, hey, in hell, no, it's not going to happen. You get? And while I struggled, because I started asking, okay, I asked the what questions. What did you do? Where did this go wrong? And after I had done my evaluation, I'm like, you know what? That phase is over. You know what I mean? Say, I see that person for road, that man not greet him. Or maybe not, do you understand what I'm saying? We still see on social media, and we are laughing and chatting off as if we chat personally on social, on our private, but on socials, people say, people are still close all this while. Because we both know. Do you understand? So so my direct answer would be that just embrace yourself. I don't know what you mean by you're working on yourself and all those. And I hope it's not just because people are saying working on yourself is a fad now. No. I hope that you're truly trying to be authentic to yourself. All my life, I've heard I'm weird, and before I used to, no, I don't push back. Yes, I am. Deal. Because at some point, I began to what's what I'm doing? And I began to diminish myself and my worth and I began to over-identify with the things that I thought was weird about me. It took my psychiatrist to tell me that yes, the way you think or the way you do or the way you relate with people might not be the social standard, but it does not make you weird. So if the people in your life think that, oh, because you don't align with social standards, then you're weird, maybe you should find some weirder people. Yeah. So I hope that helped. You would never be able to find truth. You will never be able to find people who understand you 100. You don't even understand yourself 100. So God first, the people that God allows into your life, and pray that he gives you your own friends. And as I say to my children, when I say God, you pray that God gives you your own friend and make sure you make friends with people that share your value. I say, and I add immediately, it does not mean that they will not hurt you. It does mean that are these people who you share the same value with, when they hurt you, will they be there to listen? And if you hurt them, will you also be gracious enough to listen to them? If you have a friendship that is not workable in, work out.
Thank you so much, CDK. We can't really overemphasize how you've touched this topic and how well you've been very practical with your analogies, your vulnerabilities, and the truth is we would have to call you again soon, probably regarding the relationship side, because I think it's like two other questions that I won't go to today because of time, and to also be mindful of
No, go
people's
ahead.
time and
Go ahead.
space.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
If there are two
So,
questions, we can go. If you have two questions.
so what I would do is for us to follow those that don't mind to follow you on social media and then reach out to you at their most convenient time, and also send more queries to you. But it's been very mind-blowing, it's been thought-provoking. I love all of the pause and the listening part that we had to do, the meditation part. It's that's what being mental health aware is all about. Being aware, knowing when to pause, knowing when to stop and assess and all that. So we must say thank you to you, and we hope that when next we call you, you'll be available.
Amen.
And you will not tell us that we are no longer your CSR. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
It's
You're
been
welcome.
amazing. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. We are grateful. If you're not here, there won't be this session. So we must say thank you. We are super grateful for you creating time out of your extremely busy schedules to acknowledge the invite and to actually even come. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. All of the team members on Brooks Sparkle Project, we say thank you. The next one would definitely be in July, but then you will watch our social media and for all of the info. Most definitely will let you know. Thank you. So if you don't mind, we are ready for the Zoom fee. So have our camera on now, please, if you don't mind, and I would stop recording. Yes, to those that have asked us, so feedback, thanks a lot for blessing us. Thank you. So if you don't mind, I can see someone try to adjust their hair. It's been a very lovely session, mindfulness session. Thank you. So I'm going to pause the recording now so that we can